We do nothing but win.
For you right now, are you ready
I'm ready.
to bite some kneecaps?
New England is bad.
Real bad. Live the high life.
It's a close game.
The Taylor Heineke life. Yeah.
I love this pick. Tampa has been overrated all season long, and the people who make the books are still on this. They got blown out by Blake Purdy. Can Justin Jefferson be stopped? I don't know. If you watched how Carolina played with Andy Dalton, they were fine.
Well, more importantly, Adam Thielen is probably like, can we put Andy Dalton back in?
The spread's the way to go. You just have to know how to bet it. All right, so last week, really good week for me. I went 7-2. What did you do, Smash?
I broke even. A couple of teams really surprised me last week. Baltimore really surprised me. Pittsburgh, obviously, really surprised me last week.
Yeah, I think it surprised everyone. I wasn't ready for Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer.
Atlanta. It was a weird week though. And Giants covered though, like we called. Giants covered.
Yeah, the only problem is now it's like I don't know what I feel about this week with them. It's a lower spread, and now Tommy DeVito's gone, and it's not nearly as fun.
What happened? So I didn't start watching the game until midway through the third quarter.
He's playing poorly, and Tyrod Taylor came in. There isn't really much more to say.
That's it. Like he was playing poorly, and so they benched the kid. That's unfortunate because, like, I don't know, Tyrod Taylor. It's not like he's never gonna light your world on fire. But Tommy Cutlets was I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know if it was a value thing or what. If it's like, okay, well, we're gonna show off Tyrod to see if we can trade him as a backup quarterback next year or something, or they're just looking to see what they have in Tyrod Taylor. I guess I don't know.
We know what we have in Tyrod Taylor. We've seen it in every roster ever.
Yeah, but have you seen it after he got a pain-killing shot injected into one of his veins, thus putting him out for an entire season? Dude, look at Tyrod Taylor's career. One of the most unlucky men, in the history of football.
Oh, for sure. But it's still like...
So, yeah. So that was interesting. Tampa's good and Jacksonville's bad, I guess is the way I would put it. And I don't know how good Tampa is.
Yeah.
But Tampa Bay is good enough to at least lose or at least beat bad teams, so I like them. What I tell you about Denver, Russell Wilson is cooking with Hot Pockets. That's what he was cooking, and all of a sudden...
he's benched now.
All of a sudden, the Hot Pockets...
Lions derailed Broncos country, apparently.
Found himself a bad microwave. The Hot Pockets weren't cooking all the way through, and Sean Payton, quoted by many individuals to say hates Russell Wilson. So it's an interesting situation there. Otherwise, I don't know. Tennessee's really bad. Seattle's really bad.
Derrick Henry's still really good though. Note teams that are looking for a running back next year. Derrick Henry is still really good.
Yeah.
Also, he is 8 for 8 with 8 touchdowns throwing the ball in the red zone.
Yes.
Random
so he's probably the best. He's probably the best quarterback on their team.
I wonder what the line is
for him to throw a touchdown.
Henry to throw a touchdown.
I don't think they line it because usually it would have to be because it's usually in the quarterback area. It's not like an anytime TD. Like they don't just have a market for randos to throw a touchdown.
He's too easy for an anytime TD. I mean, he's usually like minus 200 for that.
But you wouldn't get an anytime touchdown for him throwing a touchdown. That's what I'm saying, though, even.
That's dumb. I want to bet that. I want to bet Derrick Henry throwing a touchdown.
Now, I mean, if you got a book and you want to call them and see if they would make
Tommy down by the dock.
Tommy down by the dock says, I want to bet on Derrick Henry. And because you're the one creating the market, I have a good feeling that the odds would not be great. But yeah, so that's really interesting. Really good week for break even for you. I finally kind of came out of the slump. But even bigger this week, and I told Smash I would start with this. We got a big opportunity this week. Matt's got a chance at $1 million between me and 1,300 other people. 1,364, I think, is the total count. So this is actually another form of DFS that we really don't talk about on the show because it really is only relevant for the start of the season.
Hard.
Yeah. Well, not only that, but best ball is really only relevant at the start of the season, and it's a completely different way to play. So the idea behind best ball is you draft, I think it's 30 players with a group of 12 people, and that's your team for the whole year, though. So but only the best player, your best quarterback, is the only one that technically plays that week. Your best 2 running backs are the only 2 running backs that play that week, and so on and so forth. So it's been, and so I started this league at the beginning of the year. I think it was a $12 entry at DFS. I think it was some promo they were doing. So I put the entry in and drafted with 12 people. So you play 14 weeks. And if you finish first or second, you go on to the playoffs against 12 other people that or 11 other people that won. And then you do that 3 weeks in a row until you get to week 17. And then if you won each of those weeks, which I did, I beat 12 winner brackets 3 times in a row, which is that's
impressive.
Well, not only is it impressive, but it's like this is very lucky. And I'll show you guys kind of why this is a lucky lineup, but it is something that is just a really interesting way to play DFS.
But how often can you say you have a 1 in 1,300 chance of getting $1 million?
It's not often, because I'll tell you, every time you pull a slot machine, it is not that. The RNG on your slot machine is not anywhere near 1,500.
Nowhere near.
So ask anyone who's pulled a slot machine 1,300 times in one sitting, because if you watch enough internet videos of old people playing like me and
play like this, like
me and Smash, like at a casino, we're playing quarters and dollars, and we're like we're using the old handles, man. Like I want every single second I can savor out of every single pull. So just think of it that way. But so without further ado, this is the lineup that we have for this week. These are everyone that you have to cheer for this week. And I will say my DFS advice is going to be tainted this week, because a lot of my DFS is honestly just going to be fading my best ball lineup. Yeah. Yes. So same with the Cowboys game.
Did you say the minimum is 500?
Yeah. So minimum's 500. So that's like I forget what the prize pool is. I think it's like 1,300 through 700 get 500, and then it starts to go up from there. And I think if you finish in top 5, I think you get 100,000 for finishing 5th. So it's So obviously that's before tax. The government's going to get probably 50% of that.
50%. Yeah.
Anything over 1,200, but in Michigan. But really, I mean, it's a really exciting chance. I hope to obviously finish first. I feel like I'll probably finish somewhere like either really low or in the middle, but we shall see. We'll see. This actually relies a lot on the Lions, so that'll be interesting, because I don't love the Lions
versus Dallas this week.
But we'll see. So, all right. So here's leading players. So obviously J.K. Dobbins is not going to play for me this week because he's on injured reserve. But
it's basketball.
Like I said, you draft 30 players, so it doesn't matter. So I got Josh Allen's going to be probably my best quarterback, but we'll see. I got Gibbs and St. Brown. As I said, I live and die on the Lions every single week. George Pickens probably is the reason why I'm here, because he scored 30 points last week.
Game. Yeah. Who was right about that last week and not you?
You, but apparently subconsciously I was just fading my best ball lineup. All right, Sutton, who I actually kind of like this week, depending on who all plays for Denver. I actually have a Jared Stidham stack for, I think it's afternoon only. Okay, but I don't know. We'll get to that, but just so you guys know. But all right, so that's the first part of it. We got Kittle. Kittle saved my bacon last week because Laporta kind of died. So I was waiting until the end of the San Francisco game to know if I won. I was sweating it pretty hard. I think I won by like 4 points by the end of it, but it was still really close to that. Boyd could do well if Chase is out, but Higgins is there too. I don't love that. I have both A-Chain and Mostert. They're both banged up and they're both playing Baltimore. Yikes. So that hurts. But I just need one of those running backs to do okay, and Waddle is out with a high ankle sprain. And
A-Chain's probably your guy.
So I'm really hoping for A-Chain or Mostert to throw A-Chain for a bomb or some form of big run, and I really need, maybe Mostert to fall in the end zone. I have had weeks where those were my 2 starting running backs. They were both better than Gibbs.
For sure.
Yep. DJ Chark had a great game last week.
Randomly, out of nowhere.
Hoping he runs it back. Also tends to score in any revenge game he's ever played. He scored a touchdown. So he's played for Jacksonville before, so this is a revenge game, so that looks good. Conklin's just a good floor. Minnesota might be terrible this week, especially with the quarterback controversy going on. So Dobbs could go off a little bit. And then last but not least, we got this is kind of the dregs here, but Allaire has been a starter for me 1 week. And Laporta obviously has been great, but last week he wasn't very good, and Kittle saved me, so it's kind of running off those two. Mims is a nice possible, like I said, this was an upside play early in the season.
Purdy could go off because he had a rough
and then I have Purdy, so I have Purdy or Allen.
That's pretty good. That's a pretty good draft too. Like,
oh yeah, I mean, but no one knew who A-Chain was, right? I mean, that's part of it. Sam
You
Laporta
drafted
was
him as a handcuff, right?
Yeah, Sam Laporta is a rookie tight end, right? So you think about that, you go, most rookie tight ends suck, but obviously I had Kittle. Dobbs, it was just more of a, I knew one of the receivers in Green Bay had to do something. But yeah, I mean, so all in all, I really need the Lions to do well. So I will probably have a Dallas stack out there just to, combat all of my misery if they do poorly, but we shall see. So with that, we can get to the games, but I wanted to kind of give you guys an idea of what best ball is.
And you could be a millionaire next week.
Yeah. So Dan and I joked about this with Smash all the time about how I bet more or less the fun of it. I'm betting like, $10, $20 units here and there and just seeing where we land it and then maybe trying to pop a future or something. But DFS is where I would say I try to like win the big one, so to speak, because it's only $5 and yeah, the odds are terrible. But if you think you're better
than a slot machine.
Well, yeah, but also if you think you're better than like half the casuals that just throw their money into those pits, then you do have a shot from week to week.
And you can always go. You can be a rounder in daily like I am.
And I mean you can play. I know a lot of like daily guys that they only really play one or two tournaments. They'll play those like $100 double ups, and they'll just play chalk. And all you have to do is finish over 50% of the pool. The only problem with that is obviously that's $100 in the pot, and so
I just do like 3 or 4 $5 double ups. I don't
do the 100. Well, exactly, but I'm saying like for people that like professionals that play DFS, they will use those. They'll use $1,000 double ups, I think, too. Some of the guys. Well, that's
too much can happen. Too much can happen for that.
But that's their living, though, right? Like these guys probably.
Yeah, you're like at that point you're messing with somebody that's their. They don't go to a 9 to 5.
Dude builds a model. He probably has all these players like simulated 30,000 times. And then I think what usually happens in that situation, they have like lineups that spit out and they pick the players that show up the most in the lineups or something. There are a lot of different ways to play DFS. But anyways, so really exciting. We're not pros, but this is one of those days it kind of feels like we know what we're doing,
Oh, we might. I mean, we make money, which is what matters.
But even more so, just to have a shot, and at the very least, my bank account will be $500 richer by the end of Monday. But we shall see.
Just in time for bowl season.
Oh God, I won one bowl game last night. I was betting like $5 on bowl games as I was just sitting there. Also, West Virginia, how dare you have yellow on the ticker bar?
Can you imagine if Michigan had yellow on the ticker bar instead of blue?
That's ESPN Plus.
Sorry, Maze. I better call somebody will come stab me.
ESPN backup broadcast, obviously. ESPN Plus in the Duke's Mayo Bowl, I think it was.
Duke's
Mayo? But all right, so let's start with the games we got tonight. Oh, I think the way to play this game, honestly, is probably the over. Because like
an over will hit, but I think Cleveland can cover.
Yeah, okay, so if you think Cleveland's going to win this game and their offense is going to play well, then the one thing that happens in that situation is the Jets defense tends to give up when they're behind.
Yeah, I go the over, and if you think they're going to win and cover, yeah, right here. There's the like. That's not bad. Look at that. If you were just betting a single game, that's not bad.
Yeah, Joe Flacco leads the league in passing yards in the last 4 weeks. So he is the best quarterback in the NFL in the past 4 weeks. So
the most productive. I wouldn't say the best.
You know what I mean, though. But like Cleveland's the real deal, and as I hated Cleveland all early season, but if this means we no longer see Deshaun Watson and it's the comeback of Joe Flacco, I'm gonna like ride Cleveland all the way to the end, and I want to see a Detroit-Cleveland Super Bowl
right here, baby. I called it for the season. If it's the Bills and the Lions, I win $480 if it's Bills.
Yeah, those are fun bets. The exact playoff matches. Those are, and you don't even need anyone to win. You just have to get those two teams.
They just have to get there. That's it.
Yeah, I know someone that cashed really well on some hockey version of that last year. So yeah, those are some fun bets you can put together too. Especially like if you're going through your playoffs and you're like, okay, I realistically think only these 3 teams can go to the Super Bowl. Well, then you can just bet on those exacts, and they'll give you a lot better than trying to bet one of those teams individually to win the Super Bowl.
For sure.
So yeah, I like Cleveland. Yeah, money line's interesting here.
How this has to only be based on the Lions on the road, right?
No, it's not only based on the Lions on the road, but it's also like the Cowboys at home haven't lost this season. And have been more or less like even Philadelphia really, really struggled. And I know Philadelphia was on the back end of a really tough stretch, so I don't know if that actually counts. But the truth of the matter is the Dallas Cowboys haven't beat a winning team yet this season outside of
so that's why I don't
Philadelphia in a division
understand it.
game.
I could give them.
I will say 5.5
Cowboys
is my
3.5.
stopping point. I wouldn't take the Lions any lower than that if you're going to go with the points. 5.5 is where my model ends. So I'm at what right now I line the Lions about a 7-point dog, or sorry, a 3.5 point dog. And
if the Lions win this game, this is my problem with the spread. The spread might be the better bet just because the Lions, the games that they have lost, with the exception of the Ravens, have ended like 3.5 basically.
Yeah,
like
I mean 5.5 still good as long as you're getting
Yeah.
over 3. I think you're in a good spot. My model stretches to 5.5. This is where
the Lions are getting hot again. Dallas has been cold, and they're due. I mean, Dak has looked terrible the last 2 weeks.
They are due for a stinker at home. They really, really are. And the truth of the matter is the Cowboys have the most success against teams with bad offensive lines. If Micah Parsons,
the Lions don't have that. The Lions have the best offensive line in the NFL.
Yeah, so you'll check the injury report, make sure Ragnow's off of it, make sure the left tackle's there, make sure that the line's more or less intact, and then I think the Detroit Lions are a good bet here. But honestly, I wouldn't tease it because I just think the Cowboys could easily win this game 34-10. I've seen enough Detroit Lions games going on the road to a very tough team where that can happen too, and Dallas might be hungry, but we don't know.
I'm going with the better coach and the better run game.
Yeah,
if they control the ball and negate, it's the same thing we said at the beginning of the season when the Giants were playing the Cowboys. You have to negate Micah Parsons, right? That's the goal. Negate Micah Parsons. And the only way to do that is by smashing them right in the mouth, right?
Yeah. I mean, the teams that have done the best against Dallas have by far and away ran it on them really well. Even the Cardinals, when they beat Dallas, ran on them really well.
I like Monty time, baby. I like Monty and Daly this week, falling in the end zone, double up with him and Gibby if you want between the two of them, Daly, I can see 40 points.
I really just want Sam Laporta, Jahmyr Gibbs, and Amon St. Brown to do really well. That's
gonna be the hard part is Laporta and Amon-Ra, dude. I don't know.
Yeah, we'll see. Well, the good thing about Amon St. Brown and DFS is that it's PPR, right? So I never need Amon St. Brown to fall in the end zone. I just need the dude to get 8 catches. Yeah, it's all he's a great floor play. So, but yeah, so that's why I'm hoping for points and I'm hoping for the Lions, but I think anything over 3.5 is probably still good, but I like it 5.5 now. But I think this could. I think there's still more news to come out on this too. I mean, there's no injury reports yet. This could still go back up to 6. It could do a lot of different things. So I don't care. San Francisco honestly played the over. Maybe
can they cover 12.5? They looked bad last.
But that's okay. Here's the thing. Yes, they looked bad. But that's probably the worst that San Francisco healthy is going to look all season. Now, what I don't love about this is that they're traveling to Washington. That's a West Coast to East Coast game on short rest. I just assume they're going to come out hungry. And I
hope so.
Is Jacoby Brissett any good? Is Sam Howell any good? I mean, honestly, this game's probably more good for DFS than anything else. And you don't usually get San Francisco on the early slate, so that'll be good.
Yeah.
But yeah, those are my only thoughts on that one. I don't like blowout games. I'm not going to touch a 12.5 point line. Speaking of
yeah.
Again, honestly,
a 13-point spread.
My soul says that I want the Buffalo Bills to win because truly,
that no one circles the wagon like the Buffalo Bills.
No one circles the wagons like the Buffalo Bills. It's home, and the Patriots need to lose this game, honestly, to get a better draft pick. So, but
winning last week changed the entire sequence for the draft.
Dude, I think Bills I don't know if Bills mad or what it is, but even so, I don't think the Patriots can win this game. I think the Bills, honestly, are just going to run the ball a lot. Patriots defense has played well, but it's not that good. So I think if you want to tease the Buffalo down, or if you want to play like a New England Patriots points under,
I like the under. I like the under.
So that would be the way that I would play this one. This is so tough, and the reason
do you just go here just because,
or we might get the Ravens.
Does it really benefit you to take the spread? I didn't.
It would if you could get Ravens 2.5. If you could get like 2.5, 115, I think you're sitting really good. But I mean, that's for the type of individuals that are rounders. We're talking about individuals that play 100 to 200, dollar units and really need that like fraction of a percent difference. But I like this at 2.5 because I don't want to push at 3. The truth of the matter is, though, is Miami Dolphins offensive line is banged up.
Bad.
I wouldn't click this game today, Smash. I would wait. I would honestly
I'm clicking it. I want, because this is, look at the numbers here. This isn't going to stretch that much. It's
no.
The Dolphins, especially after how they played last week,
well, they're banged up is what I'm most worried about. If the Dolphins were healthy, like if I had a full Tyreek Hill and a full Jalen Waddle and a full A-Chain and a full Mostert, literally all 4 of them did not practice yesterday.
Yeah.
Their offensive line's beat up. It's like this is the spot that you want to jam the Dolphins because like you're getting the Ravens at their absolute peak. But the problem is that this is not a jammable time for the Dolphins. And not only that, but it could be cold and rainy in Baltimore this week, which Miami doesn't tend to play well outside the friendly confines. So yeah, I think the Ravens money line's a decent bet here. But
I'm glad the Dolphins beat the Cowboys last week, but I'm still not on their wagon. I don't think.
Yeah, neither of the team really proved that they were that great. It just proved that the frauds had trouble beating each other.
It was an ugly game. I watched it. It was ugly.
But yeah, so and the other thing is, I don't really want to bet this game either because this really is just my MVP bet. So I bought in on Lamar at 5-1 right before the San Francisco game. So now he's the favorite. He's like minus 250. So then today
he lays an egg against because the Dolphins did.
Well, okay, so that's the chaos, right? So if Lamar wins out, I think he wins. I think if Baltimore wins out, I think he wins MVP. If Miami wins and wins a big game against the Ravens, like let's say Tua throws 3 touchdowns, all of a sudden you got to think Tua for MVP, right?
What about Josh Allen?
Well, that's the other thing. Okay, so let's say Miami comes out and they win, but Tua plays poorly. And then the next week, Buffalo comes in and beats Miami, and Josh Allen wins out, and the Bills are then ranked over Miami for the playoffs. Well, then Josh Allen probably wins MVP. So
there's an easy solution to all of it, NFL. There's an easy solution to all of it, every single bit of it. One man in the NFL has had a completely dominant season and is the most valuable player in the NFL. One man.
Christian McCaffrey.
That is it. He is the only.
So it's nice. It's nice that you say that because I have him as well. So I'm really not betting any of the San Francisco, Miami, Baltimore situation or Bills for that matter because I put 10.
I have money on Josh Allen, but
I put $10 on Josh Allen when he was 15-1. I put $10 on Tua yesterday at 10-1. I have Christian McCaffrey. Brock Purdy's not going to win it, and then I got Lamar. So I'm going to win money in this market somehow. I just do not know which. Honestly, probably best if Josh Allen wins out. But
yeah.
So for these big, anyone who's got an MVP candidate, I'm kind of playing the futures that way versus having to play the odds because I just don't think it's necessary. And that'll happen a lot in late season, and you'll see it in my card too. I just don't have a lot of games to bet this week.
Give the man MVP and Offensive Player of the Year because there's nobody better. There's nobody better. He, in an ugly loss last week, he still found the end zone and generated over 100 yards total.
True.
Come on.
I do thank the Ravens for throwing Brock Purdy out because that was the one individual I had no shares of. So he's gone. I feel much better. All right. If we go here, again,
I'm not going to bet that spread. The Eagles.
Wait, raise your hand if your team won this week.
Yep, I'm going to count that as a dub.
Okay.
Big meaty dub.
Max, where's your
Jake's team didn't win yet.
Max, where's your hand?
Team didn't win yet. Your team didn't win either.
Did you not listen to the sports podcast that we're doing? We won because all the teams around us in the draft happened to win.
We won because the Chiefs lost.
Max, so your hand wasn't raised. Is there an issue?
My thing.
Even after a win, Philadelphia still feels like that to me. Like
they should. They did not play well, and if the Giants had a quarterback, that's a completely different game.
Oh yeah,
like
it's tough. And again, I don't like laying over 10 spreads. Cardinals offense really good. This game could end 60-50, to be perfectly honest. Because
as long as Matt Patricia is calling the defensive plays for the Philadelphia Eagles,
I don't like betting against Arizona as a big underdog because their defense is horrendous, but like their offense has still been like oddly good at scoring this year. Like even with and without Kyler Murray.
And low key, Hollywood Brown has gelled with anybody who's been at quarterback for him.
Yeah.
So
and somehow like is it James Taylor? Who's their running back? Connor. James Conner is still like a top 10 running back in the NFL.
Just keeps
somehow.
on rolling. Like when he's healthy,
yeah, and their offensive line hasn't been that bad. Like, I don't know, the Cardinals, if they can do anything new on defense next year, might be a little frisky. But yeah, I'm not going to touch them with this line. But the truth of the matter is, the Eagles could come out really angry and healthy, and they could beat them 35-0. I don't know. They're
gonna win the game. That's it. Then my bet is for them to win the game. I did like if anything. The over.
Honestly, my futures wouldn't mind if Arizona put up a big amount of points in Philadelphia, because I don't understand how their defensive lineman is just consensus defensive player of the year. He doesn't even have any sacks. What's his name? Let me 1 second.
Hargrove?
No, it's the guy that's playing for Philly. Their rookie that they drafted from Georgia.
Oh, Jalen Carter.
But he hasn't done anything.
He has like 7 sacks.
No, he doesn't have that many.
Are you sure?
I'm telling you.
Well, here's the thing: is I go back. The Lions could have drafted him, probably still gotten Laporta, and they probably could have gotten Laporta and Campbell. To be perfectly honest,
Jalen Carter is -20-1 right now to win defensive player or rookie of the year.
Yep.
But why? Like their
who's
defense
better?
But like, okay, well, Will Anderson has better stats for Houston, and their defense has played better.
The guy is consistent. I don't know. I didn't like all I've heard is Carter. I thought he had 8 sacks. So
dude has 29 combined tackles, 12 assists, and 5 sacks.
That's pretty good for a D tackle.
It's disruptive, but their defense isn't good. Like it'd be one thing.
Well, their defense spent half the season good for half the season, and then down this collapse, and why they put Fat Trisha in charge of it, I'll never know. I'll never know how that guy keeps getting a job. I don't know. I didn't my money was on the outside linebacker that the Niners draft.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'm just salty because I put $25 on Will Anderson. But I still don't understand the Jalen Carter love. I think he's a great defensive tackle. I don't think he has proven to be a consensus best rookie defensive player in the NFL. Like, tell me who's had more of an impact, Jalen Carter or Brian Branch? I see Brian.
That's my question. How come Branch isn't even on the radar?
He's 150-1. But
that's crazy. That's crazy.
But he's not that far away because Will Anderson's 30-1, Witherspoon's 35-1, Yaya Diaby.
That's who my money's on was Witherspoon. That's who I put my
Yaya Diaby is 75-1.
Okay.
Ivan Pace is 90-1. Tyreek Stevenson 15-1, and then Brian Branch 15-1 or 150-1.
Branch should be second. The guy's had 4 clutch interceptions, and he's played corner, he's played safety, he dropped down in the box at outside linebacker in different formations. The guy has shown to be a disruptive force on defense. I don't think he's ready necessarily, because there are times when he's on the field and he gets burned. But the guy,
but if I go watch,
he reminds me of right there is this man. Brian Branch plays like this guy right here, except he isn't the man cover. He can't.
But if I watch Jalen Carter tape this year, how many times do you think you're going to see him out of technique in the defensive tackle position? And then it's
true.
But I don't know. It's just so hard for me to believe that a D tackle is -20-1 to be the best defensive rookie of the year. Ran over, but. Will Anderson might still have value at 30-1. I don't know. Or like we just said, why not throw $1 on Brian Branch at 150?
He's out $150. Sure. I might, as soon as this stream is done, I might. Witherspoon's who I have my 10 on.
Because let's say the Lions defense comes alive these past 2 games and
Dak, which could happen. Dak has looked bad the past 2 weeks.
Yeah, they could tear up Dak. Brian Branch gets a pick 6 and Jalen Carter just gets ran over because Philadelphia gets ran over by Arizona's offense.
Yep.
Okay, then you're telling me is that a voter that you think Jalen Carter is better than all these players by that amount?
Bigger name.
Whatever. It's just name recognition only. Recognition. This might be my favorite bet of the week.
This one?
Oh, yeah.
This is called Aqua Teen Hunger Force, and this is my stone cold lock of the century. I'm not allowed to say.
Dude, I love Tampa at 2.5, and
I don't know how to bet this.
I love Tampa at 2.5. And not only that, I love Baker Mayfield stacks to Mike Evans all day.
I'm with you on the spread, but like
I think Tampa scores like 40 in this game. I think the Saints defense completely gives up.
the NFC South is the biggest freaking mess I've ever seen. It's worse than last year, the NFC East.
I realize that, but like Tampa could literally like this is Tampa Bay's opportunity to put their foot on the division and just be done. Because if they beat the Saints, they're going to win the division. And but we're thinking like
they get rewarded with a home playoff game. That's the other part. Like the NFL really needs to take a look at this. Nobody in the NFC South should get a home playoff.
Yeah, but it's just like I just think from that perspective, I think that everything I've seen, I believe that teams are what we think they are at this point. In the great words of Denny Allen, and then we let them off the hook.
They are who we thought they were.
I just clearly think that Tampa Bay is way better team than the Saints are. And I love
What about the Falcons? Who can still win the division?
No, Falcons are going to lose this week. Don't worry about the Falcons. We'll talk about them. But we're gonna get a 2-tutty 100-yard game out of Mike Evans. Baker Mayfield's going to be on fuego.
I don't want that because I still remember my future's right here for comeback player of the year. So I don't want that's it. I'm biased clearly. Like I don't want Baker to have good down the stretch.
Well, this is what you do. You hedge
right here.
You hedge every single week with a $5 DFS stack with Baker Mayfield and Mike Evans. You just start it that way. That's how you hedge it.
I suppose.
But that's how I'm 100% doing a Baker Mayfield stack this week because I think the Saints are really bad and their defense has gotten worse every single week. Every week. And I think we're going to catch them on the tail end, and Tampa's going to win this division. So maybe throw some money on Tampa to win the division.
Right here, my stone cold lock of the century.
This is called Aqua Teen Hunger Force, and this is my stone cold lock of the century.
Sorry, Mick. If the Giants are going to start Tyrod Taylor, they deserve to lose this game. You find out what you have.
And it's points off the turnover by Keyshawn Nixon. Family section. And his eight.
We were eating the cutlets.
How dumb are you, New York? Like, it doesn't matter if you lose the game. It doesn't matter. 0%. Winning last week against Philadelphia meant nothing. So what did you do? You bench the kid? I don't get it. I don't get it. And now, you know what? Now you deserve to get your head pounded in by the Rams. You deserve it. You deserve every single point they score on you.
The only thing that scares me about this is the Rams at like a highest high of rating this season. They're on the road, traveling across the country, given 6.
Matt Stafford is single-handedly willing this team.
I realize, but I see you're clicking the money line, not -6.
Yes, I do think the Giants cover. If you want to bet the spread, the Giants cover.
The Giants just triggered the model at 6. 6 is the buy point.
The problem that I have with the spread is this. The Giants can't stop the run at all. They are so bad against it.
And Kyren Williams did you know Kyren Williams is the number 2 fantasy football running back this year?
How does that happen? Like Kyren Williams, the Rams, everybody talks about the Niners with their scheme and how they have their block down zone, like all that stuff, the single cut. Every year, the Rams have one running back who is just top 5.
That's just Sean McVay, though, right? It's got to be.
It's got to be. And, like, I realize you have to respect the Stafford Cup. You have to respect it.
Well, but like Sean McVay, right? He had it with Gurley and Goff, and he has it with Stafford and literally any running back he wants to put.
Yeah, just start any. Apparently, and
you know what they kind of remind me of? Like the end of the Denver Broncos era, where it's like,
oh yeah,
like when Elway was starting to age out, but like they were still dangerous, and they always had a 1,000-yard rusher.
It didn't matter who it was, and then
Jake Plummer came in. It was the same thing.
Same thing with Peyton Manning. Like McVay just knows how to scheme, I think, and they get good production out of their running back. But the thing is, like Stafford, so he's averaging 270 a game.
Oh yeah, Stafford's been incredible.
Like I want to see, and everybody's like, we want to see that. This is good TV. If Matt Stafford has to come to Detroit, they are going to annihilate him.
No. You don't bring that evil.
No, I want it. I want it. You know why? Because I want to shut every single mouth up. Every single mouth up. And you know exactly the people I'm talking about. I want to shut every single mouth up the hard way. I want them to feel the pain of Matt Stafford, because everybody forgets, I've seen every snap of that man's Detroit Lion career, okay?
Matt Stafford as a Detroit Lion was what, 1 in like 30 against winning teams or
The
something?
number of game-breaking interceptions, the kind of interceptions that you're like, what? Now, he's still the best quarterback the Detroit Lions have ever had, okay?
Well, like,
I
here's
mean-
the thing though, too. You're like, neither of us have a problem with Stafford, and you're slowly making us like be mean to Stafford for no reason. The Stafford trade couldn't have worked out better
For both teams.
parties.
It's a
any
win-win.
better
Stafford got
way.
a ring. Like,
Stafford was never going to win a Super Bowl with the Lions. The Lions were in no position to win a Super Bowl that year. The Rams were. We got not only a draft pick that year and cheap Jared Goff.
Yep.
But then we got another draft pick, and it was when they were bad. They even got bad for us. Stafford got hurt for an entire season for a draft pick.
that's it. And the only thing that let us down was they couldn't go to Seattle with Baker Mayfield and win that game. If they had done it, but like I am so frustrated right now with if Matt Stafford were quarterbacking this team. If they hadn't traded him away, it would not be this team. That's a nonsense. It's a nonsense argument.
There'd be no money.
You want to look at
the Chiefs
Steve
right
and I
now.
have talked about this. Look at Matt Stafford to any receiver in his career with the Detroit Lions other
Then Calvin Johnson.
than Calvin Johnson. Because he didn't come on as like a guy who can complete it to anybody until after Calvin Johnson left. And then he was real pedestrian. He didn't put up the numbers that he did with Calvin Johnson.
Well, also, like, the one thing that is really key, and I think McVay knows this, is that what Stafford needs most of all is really sure-handed receivers. Because the dude throws the absolute piss out of the football.
Brett Favre's like
Matt Stafford has no touch. There is no touch. I remember when he was a rookie and he would throw 7-yard slant routes so hard that like they would bounce off players' hands and then like good receivers' hands and then go up in the air and then get a pick six.
So I did
ask Calvin Johnson to show you his hands from catching balls from Matt Stafford for as long as he did.
And every pass that man caught was from Matt Stafford, basically. Like I'm so frustrated with this narrative that somehow Goff is diminished in terms of this. And like, no. Okay. Goff, game manager. Yeah, he is. When he limits his interceptions and limits his turnovers, we win. When he turns the ball over, we lose. End of story. The difference is this, that like Stafford would throw the ball just like game-breaking stuff when he didn't have to. And that's, I'm not going to sit here and pretend that Matt Stafford isn't a gunslinger, that Matt Stafford was a savior while he was in Detroit. 1-2 winning records, I think he had. Like, I'm
not only that, but like I don't think any city can feel bad about giving someone 6 years of game or even 6+ years of games and what, $50-100 million. Like, it's not like you can get paid.
I'm sorry. I want to see that so people can finally shut up about.
Okay,
Matt
but if you take Matt Stafford's name off of something, you say, hey, do you want a quarterback that goes like, what was he, like a 33% winning percentage as a Detroit Lions quarterback for $100 million over 8 years? Do you think anyone's taking that? No one on earth wants.
People cannot say they didn't surround him with talent either.
Calvin Johnson.
Even when Calvin left, they reloaded, and it was still an offense that moved the ball.
Tate, Marvin Jones,
Starvin Marvin when he was healthy, not like now. Starvin Marvin, Golden Tate, like Kenny Galladay, who during that time before he got hurt was a great red zone.
Hawk was Hawk before his
but they drafted the Pettigrew who had dropped after year 3, but before that he caught the ball 81 times. Everybody forgets he caught the ball 81 times the second season. Like,
wasn't there someone before Pettigrew too, like who was just a receiver? God, I can't remember all the bad tight ends.
The one who went to go play for the Steelers. And he was good for the first 2 years and then dropped off. Like, because he was a diva. They constantly drafted talent for this man, and the defense suffered as a result. Constant. Okay. Yeah. Like, they had decent offensive lines, never great run blocking, but great pass blocking offensive line. They constantly drafted talent on the offensive side of the ball, praying their defense would somehow pull it together. And like, they never stop supporting Stafford the whole time.
Yeah.
I don't feel bad for them. I
Nope.
don't. Period.
All right.
So,
So,
yeah,
okay.
Come to Detroit. Come to Detroit, Matt. Find out. Aiden
I have
Hutchinson's gonna knock your ass out of the game.
I have no beef with the Rams.
I got a little.
wish
This
just
is a
to leave
narrative
out.
now. This is a narrative, and people need to shut up.
All right, well, we can move away from narratives because this game means absolutely nothing.
Nothing.
If I can get 7, maybe the Panthers are interesting. But every time I say that I have an interesting Panthers at 7, something terrible happens. I just say, yeah, the Jaguars will probably win this game. They'll win it ugly, and it's or if you're gonna do it one or other way. Bet Carolina by themselves as money line. Put $10 on Carolina to win.
Yeah, I did just cover $10 in Carolina to win, just because randomly they've started to win ball games.
Yeah, Bryce. I
haven't watched, so I have no idea.
I don't like Bryce Young. I think he's a crappy quarterback, but he has played better.
Jaguars picks, they say they have the best draft in the entire NFL. Are you surprised to hear that?
Certainly not. The first year we took it to the limit. And I was in Miami with my new beach house. Well, it was a couple minutes from the beach.
It's been 20.
Well, it was a couple minutes from the beach.
That lady.
But that's Jacksonville's current situation. Jacksonville was supposed to be like the darling of the up-and-coming teams this year. They have literally disappeared, and all of a sudden the Lions and Cleveland are the darlings of the comeback teams.
I'm sorry, Tim.
I completely disagree. This is such a bad spot for the Atlanta Falcons. The Bears defense is good. Taylor Heineke might get sacked by Montez Sweat.
The Heineke life, man. Come on.
Exactly. And you got it. I told you exactly.
You were right. I should have listened. I should have put a Heineke stack in.
Exactly. You should have. But now this is definitely not the week to come back to Heineke. You had Heineke
live. Yeah.
You had Heineke
messier. You want to know why? Because if the Falcons win, it makes it mess. That's why. How about that?
I want the Bears to win this game because I want them to have a worse draft pick. That's
valid as a Lions fan. Yeah, go ahead, Bears win.
I want them also to be really up in the air about wanting to keep Fields versus Caleb Williams. I want nothing but
Williams will stay. Williams will stay. He's already said so.
The Bears defense alone can win this game. You want to play this game, play the Bears, and you play the Atlanta Falcons under. The Atlanta Falcons have success when they can run the ball. They are not running the ball against the Chicago Bears in Chicago. It is
just for that. I'm playing a Cordero Patterson anytime touchdown.
Oh, that's another thing we didn't talk about at the beginning of the show. My new favorite bets, and now this is from
backup running backs and backup tight ends. We talked about it last week.
Yes, it's incredible. You can get backup running backs and backup tight ends for 7 to 1, 10 to 1.
Yeah.
Who's this guy I got last week? I got to look this up because this one really was nice. And you only have to put $5 on him. It's awesome.
Yeah, make a nice little chunk of change if they land in.
So this was in the Seattle-Tennessee game. I don't even know which team he plays for because I can't remember. Colby Parkinson, 13 to 1. I nailed that on. So
Colby Parkinson.
He was a backup tight end.
Now I got to look at
one of these two teams. I think it was for Seattle because I think Noah Fant was hurt.
Seattle.
Yep. So that's right. Put $5 on a 13 to 1. Cash $70 on Colby Parkinson.
Oh my God, this game's ugly.
Who is Colin Kaepernick?
I like the Raiders to cover.
I hate the Raiders to cover. I don't think the Raiders are going to play well.
I hate the Raiders. I hate the Raiders.
John, calm down.
They played great again last week.
I think that here's going to be a really interesting thing. You're getting the Raiders, who have literally played some of the best defense. I think the Raiders as a cheap DFS option are really, really interesting this week because they have played since Pierce has taken over. They're like a top 5 defense in the NFL.
Yep.
Because they are talented, which is very clear.
And Max Crosby needs to be a Detroit Lion next year. Come home.
All right. So that's another interesting bet I put in yesterday. Again, you bet it. Like they talked about this at length. They are really good at covering awards, so I won't even try to keep up with them. But I listened to their advice, and I thought this was good. So Micah Parsons, right? If he's got to play 2 tough offensive lines in a row, and if the Cowboys lose, all of a sudden he doesn't look very good. Then you have Myles Garrett, who hasn't recorded a sack in 6 games.
Yep, and they're triple teaming him.
Quiet. Well, yes, I realize that, but it's gone really quiet. And then you have TJ Watt, who again has gone quiet. And who knows what Pittsburgh's going to do the rest of the season with Mason Rudolph as their quarterback.
Apparently, they're going to throw for 380 yards.
So, all right, the Raiders win this game, right? And go to the playoffs. Max Crosby for Defensive Player of the Year is 50-1.
He's so good.
Anytime I've ever seen that man play on like TV, I'm just like, holy crap, is Max Crosby good?
Walks around in the field with, you know, those like smelling salts that people do to, like, he just walks around in the field just like sniffing the smelling salts between plays. That's all he does. What an animal.
He is a terrifying individual. I will say, like,
the Colts been bad. How do you think? Okay,
I worry about the Raiders. I worry about the Raiders coming off a high that is beating the Chiefs, having to come across the country from Vegas to Indianapolis, and Minshew mania occurs.
I guess I don't. So they got their defense is gonna get some turnovers.
I think
they don't throw the ball on offense. They just hand it off.
But the Colts' run defense isn't bad. Like, it's not bad.
But the game could end, good under. The game could end 17-13 all day.
AOC did not throw a pass after the first quarter.
In the second half. He didn't complete. He threw. He didn't complete a pass in the second half.
So, all right. So you take the Raiders getting basically a ton of credit for a game they had no business winning. And AOC is still terrible.
But they dominated the Chiefs offense and the best quarterback in the NFL. And now they get the turnover-prone Gardner Minshew.
I will say, if Pittman's not playing, that'll be interesting. Pittman might still be out.
And unfortunately for my league championship, I have to have Jonathan Taylor have a good so.
I think the Colts are the better coached team with the better quarterback, and maybe 3.5 is the right line. I would take the Colts at 2.5. I do not want the Raiders.
I want the Raiders at 3.5. They cover. If they lose, it's going to be by a point.
You might as well, if you think the Raiders are covered, you better put whoever is their starting running back to have over 150 yards, because there's no other way.
Oh, they did. That's not how they do. They do all three running backs now. They don't do.
They're not. Then play them all at plus 50. I don't care what you do, but they need to run the ball.
They will. Like, I like the Raiders to win this game. Talk about messy. Make the AFC West that messy. Come on.
I want the Colts.
The Raiders counted out. And to be fair, I saw Jimmy G on the sidelines. Maybe it's time to put him back in because you're in contention.
This is another reason why like futures make the last 2 weeks tough. It's because like I got a lot on Shane Steichen to win Coach of the Year, and like
there's only one Coach of the Year, and he's the madman.
He took an almost playoff team, and now he's going to take them to the playoffs, and he wins Coach of the Year because of that.
Not just the playoffs. They only lost 4 games so far. They might beat the Cowboys and might end up as the number 1 seed in the NFL. So in 3 seasons, you took a team that Fat Trisha ran into the ground and turned them into the premier of the NFL. Yeah, that deserves Coach of the Year.
Yes, but like for all intents and purposes, the Lions have been really healthy this year. Like Cleveland,
except losing their defensive captain the very first play of the season.
Cleveland's on their 4th quarterback, man.
Like, their offensive line has played offensive roulette the whole season.
Yeah, but those aren't. That's not flashy. That's not flashy.
I guess I didn't like the 2 key components. Their defense, especially up the middle. And Alan McNeil, I feel so bad for him. He's like snake bitten. Every time he's healthy, he gets hurt some other way. Like, the offensive line and the defensive line have played roulette the whole season. Their skill position, sure, they've gotten lucky, but offensive, defensive line, it's been roulette the whole season.
I think having coughed the entire year makes it tough. I don't know.
Yeah, during the 2-4 6-game streak, you think it was real good having Goff?
Well, I'd be mad if the Lions like win 2 playoff games and Dan Campbell's Coach of the Year. No, I will not. But like on the chance that doesn't happen, which is highly unlikely, the Colts, Shane Steichen or Stefanski to win Coach of the Year.
If the Raiders win out, does Antonio Pierce get Coach of the Year?
No, he doesn't have enough games. Can he be comeback player of the year?
He might suit up just to get ready.
He's coming back. He is a player. All right. This one's. Man, this was 2.5. This was 2.5 Houston, and I wish I
like Tennessee to cover this all day.
Oh yeah, now it's 5.5. Sure, I think Tennessee's in a great spot to cover. The problem is I wanted Houston at 2.5, but Stroud's healthy now, and I think Willis is going to play quarterback. I don't know. I just stay away from this game, to be perfectly honest.
And Titans cover. Texans were surprising, but I mean,
Stroud. I will say Stroud as a favorite has been horrendous this year.
Yeah.
But I also don't think the Titans are playing for anything. That's the other, like, Vrabel's pump up speeches, I think only like work like when there's still a playoff game to be played for. I don't know what the Titans are playing for.
Pride, which Vrabel would say that's important.
Yes, but he's not going to be there. Well, either the rest of the team's not going to be there this year, or Mike Vrabel's not going to be there this year. I don't know, but
they better not get rid of my man. They'll be dumb.
Henry will definitely be with another running or quarterback next year, or team next year. Pitt, all right, yeah, Pitt plus 3.5. I bet this when Pitt was, I want to say +5. So I've gotten a lot
better bet.
So I've gotten a ton of value on this because I thought, like, based on what was the Seahawks, I think they had someone injured or something, so we're waiting for an announcement. So I have Pittsburgh in a good spot, so I don't really have much to say on 3.5.
Right there.
But I think +3. I guess it depends what you think about Mason Rudolph, right? Like if you think all of what Mason Rudolph did last week was a mirage, then yeah, under 41 makes sense because Seattle has proven that they are willing to be conservative in a game literally until the last drive. And then Geno comes alive and kind of carves you up. Pitt is coming across the country, but like I just think we saw a very uninspired Seattle team. Even
like, I don't get it.
Win.
Also, I think people have kind of figured DK out a little bit. And like,
yeah,
I like the under because the Steelers' defense is still strong. Seattle's offense has struggled. Like,
I like the Pitt
defense should be able to shut down the Steelers who can't run the ball. Like,
so I created an afternoon only lineup, and I will say primarily what I did is I put Pittsburgh as my defense and I faded all of Seattle. So like that's my thought on like basically this entire slate. It's like, yeah, Kansas City can cover 7, maybe. I don't know. It looks pretty dysfunctional. I don't know if I want to lay 7 with either of these teams because Browning kind of showed us that. See, I think the over is how I want to play it.
Really? Because the Bengals should cover this, right?
Well, not if Browning throws 4 picks.
Yeah, I guess maybe.
I think this game gets loose, honestly. And I think Kansas City gets some short fields.
Wins when it gets loose. I don't like 7 points. Their offense didn't look like it can move the ball.
Yeah, the offense looks terrible. I want nothing to do with Kansas City's offense right now. But that's why I say like the over though. If they get a bunch of short fields because Browning throws a bunch of picks, then I think the over is wide open because I think the Kansas City Chiefs defense can get got in some situations. But here's what you got to remember about the Kansas City Chiefs defense last week. They didn't give up any touchdowns.
Yeah, they didn't it's not like they played poorly.
They played really well against the Raiders, who like have scored some points this year.
And they were coming off how many points did they score? Like 60?
Yeah. So yeah, I think maybe more I think about this, actually, it's just like, yeah, Kansas City Chiefs lockdown defense locks down Cincinnati, and they just win by like 5 points. 24.
I will say this: the Chiefs need to be really concerned. Their offensive line is bad, and like the big difference between last year and this year really comes down to Eric Bieniemy being gone.
Yeah, we didn't realize because for as bad as a lot of things are in Washington, right? Like the offense is pretty interesting.
Yep, and they move the ball no matter who's been in there. They move the ball. Like the Chiefs did not move the ball last week. I watched that game, and Mahomes looked pedestrian, which is crazy to say. Like, they put so much pressure on Patrick Mahomes, and he was mad and yelling at his offensive lineman, he has not had a couple of good looks the last couple of weeks.
I will say, with the Kansas City Chiefs, they are going to be heavy on my stacks just because
you probably get them cheaper.
If I'm fading Seattle, right, there's only so many skill positions in 3 games. I don't want to play a lot of skill players from Denver or the Chargers. So it's like you're kind of getting pushed into a corner there. So I do because I think you're going to get a little bit of a deal on Travis Kelce. I think you're going to get a little bit of a deal on Rice. And where you find that value is you find at quarterback Jason Stidham for the Denver Broncos.
I mean, they got to win this game, right?
Well, it doesn't here's the thing. If Sean McVay dislikes Russell Wilson as much as we think he does, and Russell Wilson was an average quarterback, why can't Jason Stidham just play as an average quarterback? Like, why would that change the line at all? Russell Wilson wasn't winning games for them.
I got to imagine that
there's Russ Wilson.
Do you think anybody signs him after they cut him?
I mean, if he's really cheap, he's going to get paid out that contract regardless. So they're going to cut him in March.
I just retire. I fire him. I just retire.
I would too. I would just go home and hang out with Sierra. I don't know
what he doesn't have anything. Granted, he didn't win a Super Bowl, but at this point, nobody remembers him as a good quarterback.
Well, yeah, because he ruined his reputation.
I love this game though.
Yeah, so I like Denver. Stidham stacks, and that's pretty. I don't like 3.5. I'd prefer it at 2.5. We'll see if the number changes. Yes, I completely agree. I just want you to watch the injury report because all of Green Bay Packers receivers are currently questionable.
I think last week they remembered that they have a top 5 running back in the NFL, and I don't get it all season. Jones is good.
Yes.
Give the man the football. I don't get it. If I'm him, I'm so mad how he got phased out for Corey Dillon for some reason. I know he was banged up at the beginning of the season, but like Corey Dillon is not a good running back.
You mean A.J. Dillon?
Or A.J. Dillon. I always call him Corey Dillon.
All hail Corey Dillon, dude. Legendary Bengal.
Now he's legendary, but like, don't forget he ended his career with the Patriots.
The Patriots.
Yeah.
Yep.
After God, who left? He was a longtime Jet.
Dude, they were a bunch of old guys.
Yeah.
It was,
but like the Packers, by winning, so they're not mathematically eliminated, right? The Vikings should have lost that game by a lot more. They got a couple of clutch calls that kept the game close, and Justin Jefferson is still Justin Jefferson, right?
very good. He's a very good player.
Now, I will say this.
Can Justin Jefferson be stopped? I don't know.
I did not like hearing that J.R. Alexander will not be playing in this game. I think you picked a really bad time to not play a top 5 corner. Justin Jefferson might get loose and wild.
I think it really depends on the Green Bay Packers practice, or like who practices, who's healthy this week. If that's the case, if the Packers have a decent bill of health, at least one starting receiver, J.R. Alexander's playing, like, we got some good players in, sure. But that's the way I see it. Minnesota, though, if they play Nick Mullins again, I don't know, man. I know what Orr said in that game, but like I watched it and the dude literally was just heaving. He was just heaving the ball like as high as he could.
Well, Justin Jefferson kept them in the game is what I'm saying. And like, I don't know. I think that like to a certain extent, the Packers should win.
Yeah.
Right? They're the better football team. Jordan Love has turned into an average quarterback, which is huge for them. Yeah. As long as things are healthy, Packers win that game. That's where I put it. $5,000 this week if I hit. Did you see that a guy hit an 11-legger though for $800,000?
Yeah, it was a touchdown one, wasn't it?
Yeah, anytime touchdowns. McCaffrey managing to punch in that touchdown. Okay, think about this. So you got that 11-leg parlay and you have 10 out of 11 and they're offering you what did you think, like $5,000 probably?
It'd probably be something around there because it's so hard. The problem with the anytime touchdown market is there's no hedging the backside of it. Like once you're
there really isn't. Unless you have the cash. I guess if you had the cash to put down a bet of like that McCaffrey won't score a touchdown. So how much?
There isn't no won't score touchdowns. There's not another side to the other anytime touchdown market. There's only
there's none, huh?
No.
Well, you can bet under though. Like I bet you there's a McCaffrey
over under touchdowns.
For him at this point, it's got to be McCaffrey anytime under, right? Under 1 touchdown.
I don't know. I'd have to look. That's not a market I've ever gotten involved in outside of backup tight ends.
Backup tight end
anytime tutties.
But that's the thing is if you had like $400,000 to put on him not scoring versus if he scores, you win $800,000, I guess, and you just hedge your bet that way.
100% hedge your bet. Once like you've already won, like don't make this difficult for yourself. It's like the guy who didn't split the pot for $9 million. It's like,
oh yeah, like
you already won $9 million. Like you've proven the superior intellect.
Yours is superior.
Yours is superior, Con. You have Genesis. You have everything.
Yeah, but you could have 20 million instead of 9 million.
What's the difference? You ever seen $1 million before? I haven't.
I mean, you and I know the smart play there is just to take it, but
always
Cup,
take
right?
your money.
Hey,
that's the other thing too. Like if you are in a league that you get money and like they like say like, hey, do you want to split the pot? Like just do it, especially if it's amongst friends. Like,
oh yeah,
if everyone comes out on top, like we're all doing good. Like spread the cheer.
It depends. It depends on who it is.
I don't know. But I would say
if it were Steve, I'd split the pot. If it were you, I'd split the pot. If it were Miranda, of course I'd split the pot because it stays in the house. Dude, if it was Bob, I wouldn't split the pot. No way. He's won too much. The guy wins one out of my many leagues every year. Every year, the dude wins one league. Or Asian Steve. I have to play him in my championship. I'm not splitting with him. He's either going to beat me or I'm taking the money. I'm so sick of those two winning and I don't barely see them.
With that, do a quick recap here because I have like no bets this week.
The lines are thin.
I like Detroit down to 3.5. I think they're probably fine to bet. My model really likes Indy, which is why the Vegas scares me. Tampa, I already bet. I just really like that 2.5 number. I think New Orleans is a bad team, and I got Pittsburgh at 2.5 as well. So like I'm locked and loaded.